Good morning, guys. Hopefully, you guys probably let me know if you guys can see my screen. I believe, right? So, I'll be talking about this. This session would be majorly how. Uh, I mean, let's talk about what we are gonna learn today. A little a recap from yesterday's sessions, and today we're gonna look for the what are the dimensions tables, what are the fact tables, a few examples we're gonna work upon the concepts, major concepts to understand the data model, and also we're gonna learn about the query editing tools. What are the queries that we can add? What are the tools inside each tab inside the Power Query window that we're gonna see. All right. So as we talked about yesterday, right, that we have gone through our connections, right? What is the front end? Why we require the Power BI, right? What is the difference between the Power BI and the other tools, and how we can elaborate that into our in our current market trending, why it has been so much market trending right now. We discussed about how we can install the Power BI by having that app.microsoft.com. Then we also discuss about what are the little summarized way, what are the cardinality between employee table and the department table. Also we talked about that that this is the one that we talked about, right? So what are the employee tables that we have, and what is the difference between employee and department, and what is the primary key of that, what is the attributes that get stored into the table, what are the attributes that store into the department, what is the relationship between these two table, what is the one to many, many to one, and one to one relationship, right? So those discussion that we had discussed yesterday, and what is the primary key for that particular table that we discussed. It should be a unique, it should be mentioned as a unique, and it should be a not null value. Same way, what is the one to many relationship? As I mentioned, it may have a one entity to the multiple rows entity with the relationship. And also we discuss about how we can uh, you know uh, connect to the databases, multiple shaping the databases, how we can load the CSV files, what is the backend services, as I said, and what is the front end services. Backend services, that means a Power Query. Front end services, that means it has the data model and report, as I showed in the Power BI. This one, it is the report, it is the report view, it is the table view, and it is the model view. So little recap. So today, all right. So today, what we're gonna learn majorly, right? So I'm gonna explain you by today as what are the things that majorly that we need it as a basic transformation. Basic transformation, that means what are the table level transformation if you wanna do it, right? If you see adventure, let's say these are the files, these are the tables that I have already loaded, right? And I want to have that. Let me go ahead and go ahead and enter into my transform data. If you see, there are a lot of things. Let me track down this. There are a lot of things. If you see, if I want to connect to the multiple databases, right? So I have a lot of options, right? So let me open that on how we can connect to the any of the databases. All right. So for that, what you need to do, click on get data, go ahead with the more. This is my Power BI. Again, this is the front end as I am showing you guys. And here you can see there is a database. Click on database. Let's say, let's click on Oracle. I have a Oracle database. Okay. Let's say connect, because it needs a, I'll show you what would be the skeleton would be look like. Okay. Or because it is not been installed Oracle right now, so we cannot install it. But here, what are the things that we want to give it to the Power BI window. All right. See, this is the Oracle database, right? What are the things that we want to give it? First thing, here there will be a pop-up will be coming, right? After the pop-up, you just have to give the host name. That is the server name. If I show you that pad, what are the things for the Oracle or any of the databases that we need to provide, right? I'll gonna have a database details, right? So first thing you wanna, before connecting to the databases, you should have a host name, right? Or a server name. What is the port, port, right? On which port you gonna connect? And what is the service name or the database name? So these are the three things that we should have it. For an example, I'll show you that what I'm taking an example. It will be look like I am having the host IP as a 127.0.0.1 like this. This is my service IP or a IP connection to connect to my server host for a database, for a Oracle database. All right. This is just a sample I'm showing you guys. Oracle database, and port would be something like 1521. It's a default port whenever this details will be given by your database admin folks, right? Because you're not a DBA guys. So this you have to take it from the, whenever you work on the basis of any of the project or any of the environment that you wanna work. So DBA admin will give this information, and it's not a free version because it is going to have a, this volume should be available within the company because we don't have any financial data, we don't store any financial data. So this details will be given by your database admin, right? Host name, server name, that will be something like this, 127. I'm just taking an example. The port name would be something like this, 1521. And database name, let's take, I'll take it as a e-commerce. I'll take it as a e-commerce as a database. So this value you should have handy before connecting to here, right? So if you say, if I put 127.0.1.0.1, so after clicking that, because I don't have any database, after clicking that, there will be a same connection like this. If you see over in my cursor, the right column, you might have to have the advanced option. If you see the advanced option, you can say, if let's say it is not getting connected, then what is the timeout you want to put. Let's say it is taking 5 minutes to connect to this databases. After 5 minutes, it should give me a timeout error. That means after 5 minutes, that means you can put it as a 240 seconds or 300 seconds. After 300 seconds, it will go for a command to timeout. That means it will, or if it in minutes, then you can put it as a 5 minutes or a 1 minute or 10 minutes. In minutes, it will be a, it will go for a timeout, but it is an optional that it is, you no need to give it because sometimes it may take time or it may not take time, right? So after connecting, you can directly click on OK. After OK clicking, you will be seeing this are the, right hand, that okay, these are the tables that will be available under this table, this database e-commerce, right? You'll be seeing the same structure. It may have a, sales data. It may have a sales data, right? It may have a transactional data. It may have a customer data. So those are the tables that I want to show. So these are the tables you're gonna have it exactly like this, that the same way we did it for the CSV file. Exactly, you just have to embed it, or you can fetch it from the this table. This is how you can connect to the database from the get data, and same way your transform data will be, there will be, once you load it, it will ask you whether you want to load or whether you want to transform. So once you click on transform, there is, as I mentioned in the previous class, that you will open as a new window called the Power Query window. here. Whatever you're gonna do, it will gonna save it, apply the changes, and you can over here, right? You can apply the changes and you can go back and save these changes into your data model, right? All right. So let's see for one of the example. This is a territory. Territory means you just assumption that what do you understand by territory? Territory means it may have a region, right? It may have a country or it may have a your continent. That means in which part of this, right? Let's say this data it look like a in similar way. Let's say northwest. It is in United Country state and it is a continent is North America, right? So if you see here in my right corner, I want to show you what is exactly is this, right? If you see in my function effects, right? If you drop down this, it will be show you these are the cursors. And what is this? It is showing is prompted headers. That means these are my first lines are the headers of my table. Sales territory key. These are my headers if you see. And this is denoting as a my re as a number. If you see key as showing me as a number, right? And region it is showing me as a text. Country again is showing me as a text, and continent is again showing me as a text. It denotes that what is the type of data you have. That means if you see right corner over here, you will see that you have a change type, you have prompt header. If you click on prompt header, you'll see that what is the header and what is the source of this file, right? So source would be from where you're loading it. You'll see that okay, it loaded it from my C path, and my from download I have loaded this, right? And a header, if you see what is the header, these are the headers. As I said, these are the headers: sales territory, region, country, and continent. These are the territory table data would look like, right? Let's say assumption. Okay, I want to change the data type of this column, right? So there is a one way where you can do it, right? Here you can see all the data. Even though once you click on this drop down button, you'll see that okay, these are the data I have. If you select this complete data and right click on this, you'll see whether I want to remove this column, whether I have to duplicate that column, right? Whether I have to add the column, right? If I want to replace the value, let's say if I want to replace the value of for the one of the value assumption, I'll click on replace. You'll see that what value you want to replace, right? Value to find and value to replace. The same way, if you say 1 and replace with, let's say 0. See, you find out, okay, my actual territory key has been replaced with the 0, right? But I'm just showing you how you can replace the value. And here you will see that whatever the activity you just now done it, you'll see that, okay, this is the activity I've done it, replace value. If you, whatever the activity, let's say you have done the assumption, adding the column, right? Let's make the duplicate the column, right? Duplicate the column. That means this is the copy. Let's say I'll double click on this and I'll say duplicate cells key, right? So that means it will this column will be my as a naming header. You can double click on this naming header and you can change this column. And if you see same value has been got duplicate and the same activity, if you say that, right? Whatever the activity I have done it, I have replaced the one value with the 0. I've created the duplicate column. And the third one, I renamed the column name. If you see over here, so those three activity I have done it, right? Same way assumption, if you see this, right? Same, I did not change any of the type of this data type, right? I did not made any changes. So if I want to change any data type, if you see that I can replace or change my data type over here, right? Change type, if you see over here, see, if you see, it is, I don't want this should be a decimal number. I want it should be a whole number, right? Fixed decimal or a whole number. You can change this. If you change this, right? So that means this has been created as my whole number. I don't want, because it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want it should be a decimal. I don't want that it should be a decimal. So I just change that data type within this file in the my Power Editor ETL query. So if you see, these are the 4 things that I have applied under this my file. So if you want to clear that, simply what you can do, you can close this, you can cancel this, you can cancel this again, and you can cancel this. Simple. The main, you have come to the main version now. Correct? So this is where you can do a little modification under the basic transformation as I'm showing you guys. Those are the basic transformation that you can do, right? So let's cancel this. I'm not gonna save. All right. So I did not saved it. And even though you can change the file name also. Let me show you that out that too. Again, go to the transform data. Go to the transform data. Again, it will open to the Power Query. And it will ask you to change the name of your, if let's say I want to change the name of this adventure, I don't want adventure should be mentioned over here, right? So what I'll do, I'll change it over here. If you see, there is a right corner query setting properties. If you can see, you can cancel this, and you can directly you know save. It can directly save that. Okay, it is the sales data 2020. Okay, and I'll save this control S. That means my data has been stored. My file name has been saved with the new file name. If you see that duplicate column that I have already yesterday we done it. So yep, query metadata load complete. All right. So what I'll do, I'll gonna go ahead, close and apply, so that my this Power Query, it will be loaded into my Power BI model. Right. It will take some time because it has a little more data for now. So that's why it will take some time. So meantime, this will be loaded into my main Power BI table or a main Power BI, right? So meantime, we'll go and we'll see that, as I said, right? As I showed you guys, what is the removable columns that we can do, right? What columns under that we can remove here, as I showed you. These are the remove columns, duplicate columns, where you can change the data type of this and you can replace the value, right? So those are the basic transformation that you can do under this, right? So here, as I showed, storage and connection of the modes, right? Where we can connect to the database, as I showed over here. See, connecting to the database. How? Include, go to right click on database. As I showed you, go to the database, get those details. get those details. What is the server name, host name, what is the port name, and what is the database name applied over here. See, go to the connect, get data, database, and give this server name automatically, as I mentioned, right? These are the table you will be seeing it in the right corner, and you can same like the CSV we did it for yesterday, same like you can transform the data, right? Same way as I explained yesterday, extracting the data from the web, same way we can have that data, whatever you can directly go to the write down any of the simple URL, web, go to the get connect, provide the URL, and from your URL also you can directly Power BI can identify that yes, this URL has this table and this table can be directly feed into your Power BI. Yesterday I showed this you guys. You can directly feed that table, a web table that you can directly get into your actual table. If you see here, as I showed you, web, go to the web and you can put the web URL here, as I said. Or and if you say that whatever the URL you want to put, you can directly put it, and directly you can the Power BI itself gonna understand that okay, this URL has this table, okay, and this table format, and then we can directly get those data into my Power BI, right? So this is what we can how we can connect to the database, right? And how we can connect to the web and how we can connect to the multiple source systems, right? So we save that. If you see over here, sales data, right? Here it was adventure sales data earlier. We save that in Power BI after clicking the transform data, and it got we changed the file name, and now it you know reflected in my Power BI model. If you see, right, that is the model. If you see, that model has whatever the change file name, it got reflected in my this Power BI data model, right? So let's move ahead for from a few more basic details. Data profiling, right? I'll show you what is the data profiling. Let's say let's have a okay, anybody? No, for can we, I think Dipti, right? Can we connect the live database will already on live server? See, live database basically usual. I mean, it's not a free version. See, whatever the database that we usually have it, that that cannot be accessible because it has a server volume payment, that it is not a free version you can get the access, right? It is the same way. Let's say I'm working for the assumption that I'm working for the Google, or I'm working for any TCS companies, basic, right? Or and that data that company holds for that data, right? Let's say I'm working for the TCS, and I joined yesterday, probably joining date is my yesterday, and my employee ID has been created, right? For that database, the TCS pays the money to the Oracle. Let's say the data is employee data is stored into my Oracle database. That means that the TCS is paying the money, or a some amount of money to the you know Oracle company to get the volume of the data servers, get the data servers, and get the all the volumes and the servers, or a DR servers that we want to store into for my company. So though we don't have any such live currently, because it is a paid version that we want to do it. Yeah, the same way as I showed you guys, what are the things that we need? These are the three things that we majorly need: server name, port, and this thing. Once we have that, as I mentioned, how we can connect. I believe we just have to get the data and provide this, values to the server details under the server tab, and you're good to go. You can get any of the table and import those table into my Power BI. I hope it is clear. right? So we'll do one thing, whatever the Q&A sessions, right? Write down those questions into your notepad or any document that you have. We will take those question at a one time, because let's have a little flow, because I don't want to some of them are directly are doing or live. If they have installed it, they can directly do the live also. So I don't want to break down the rhythm. So I just want you take down your questions, and then we can have that questions Q&A at the end of this session for an half an hour. All right. Yep. So let's have a data profiling. What do you understand by the data profiling, right? So data profiling, that means I'll take an example over here. Okay, let me have a new sheet. Okay, let's take the little more few examples. Let's take the same example. Let's employee table, right? 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9. With location Hyderabad, mm, Bangalore, pin code 123, and I'll put it as this. Joining date, let's put it as a 24. Then 23, and then let's put it as a 18. Right, salary, I'll put it as 40, 50, and 60. Right? So fair enough. I have an employee table, same employee ID, employee name, right? Employee ID, employee name, right? So this is a fair enough table that I have. I have an employee table, employee ID, employee name, first name, last name, location, pin code, and I want to do the data profiling as a data analyst. You should have to understand, before understanding by the my Power BI, the person who is the expertise into the Power BI, they should know how to do the data profiling, right? Let's say I have a 3 rows, right? And 3 rows that I have says that these are the employees, these are the first name, last name, location, and it looks good. Okay, yeah, this data looks fine to me, right? Let's say I have another data called something like this, tilde, something like this. Okay, and I'll put it as let's put it as right, right. So the next data, if you see, right, what do you understand this data, right? This data looks fine to me, but I'm not understanding or a data. Okay, for a, there is one more, entry I can see in table that, the employee is something as a very anonymous value. I can see it's coming as a special character, and it is not good as a value. I cannot do this value. I cannot handle, or we cannot load this or as a data profiling. We want to see that, okay, this data has an issue, right? So we are the one as a data profiling. We have to understand what is the data issue. If you see, look at over here. If you see, look at right employee ID. There is something called a special character, which came in the middle of or at the first, before a nine. I got the some of the special character or a something star or a tilde, those values have gotten. So those profiling that we want to do it before loading into the table or a Power BI, we want to do this profiling that, okay, that profiling that we might have to do it. So what you're gonna do it, you're gonna have a look and you're gonna remove it and you're gonna ask that the database guys, okay, is this something that we have an issue with data? We cannot load this data. Even though if you see that salary, right? Salary has the dollar. That means it says that, yeah, it has the dollar currency type that is coming as a 40,000, but I don't see this. What is the currency type for this guy, right? So those data profiling, we usually do it for the data profiling columns. For each columns we are looking at and checking the profiling, and we can directly say that, hello, hey, hi, we cannot load this data, and whatever the data we have it, please check at your end whether what are the ETL guys, right? Those who loads the data, we just have to remove that data, and whether we have to delete the data or whether we have to ask that to the whomsoever he added that data, we just have to ask them whether is it looks good. I can see that these are the two things as per the analytics. These are the two things I can find the issue. Please correct, or we can reload that data again, or we can skip that data, right? We can skip that data, or we can directly clear, or we can directly hide this data, or we can directly load this much only the data into my Power BI. So that is called the column level and the row level profiling. Fair enough, right? That is called the profiling tools like a column quantity, right? Column distribution and the column profile allow you to explore the quantity, quality, and the composition and the distribution, as I mentioned, right? What is the valid, what is the error? So those types you can see that data into your quality, right? So I'll show you that in where we can find this quality in our Power BI, right? So let me show you that where we can find it in my Power BI. You go to the Power BI, go to the again, as I say, whatever is a very strong tool that we have a transforming data. Always, whatever you wanna do under this query tab. If you see, go to a transform and do to the transform the data. Your new query Power window will open, and over here, right, customers data, right? So if you see over here, under this, there is called any column where whatever, right, you want to do it for the checking the data or whatever the profiling you want to do it, right? Where you can do it by the checking all the values over here, right? If you want to enter the data assumption, if you want to enter a new data, you can enter by clicking the create a new table by typing or pasting the value. You can directly enter a new data, right? So let's check for the here. You can see that here you can see that there is a lot of things that you can, I'll explain this in each tab what we want to do it. But for now, where we can directly go to the add column and view, right? These are the major that we usually do it. Yep. If you see, that is the column distribution and the column profile. If you see, these are the quantity that you can directly go to the data preview, right? Let's say if you want to do it or if you want to check it, right? But before that, before having that view, that if you can directly check the transform, what are the transform I want to do it, you can check on the basis of the transform transpose, reverse the row and the count the row. You can directly go by clicking on the transforming the data. I'll come to that later on. But if you want to see that column quantity quality, right? So let's click on this. Okay, you'll get to know that, right? This gives me the value, right? What is the value I have? Valid is 100%, error is 0. That means you're gonna see, you're gonna have that. What is the, suggestion? If let's say my value is not right, assumption, right? Let's say I'll gonna add it or I'll gonna have some value over here. So you're gonna see that there is an empty value over here, right? So this shows me that there is a very good quantity and the quality. If you see that I have it over here, right? If you see the downside, it column profile based on only 100,000 rows, not 100,000 rows, right? If you select on complete data set, right? You can select over here and then you can completely check. First, what we did, we checked on the to view, went on to the column quality and check on the basis of the what is the each column, is whether it is looking good, whether we have a valid data in our columns or whether we have a valid scenario in our this customer table or not. It will give you the valid say, okay, this has the very proper value and it is have a valid scenario for us. Whether we have a key column, whether it is restoring the same number, whether it is having the proper prefix or not, whether it has a very proper name, right? First name and last name is proper, complete 100%. If you see each column, you'll see that. If you see, it will take some time. Yep, all are valid. That means we have done the proper quality. Let's click on the column distribution. Let's say distribution. It will see a proper distribution. That means, yep, here you can see that, right? What is the value, unique value, right? That means I have a total unique values. I have a total values of 811 18,148 18K records and all are the unique records. That means we don't have, if you select, okay, it's asking me to have a little remove duplicates. If anything is needed to do it, right? So if let's say I have a same value or a dupes value, it will ask you to remove it. It will give you the suggestion. See, right? So those are the suggestion you can click on, and automatically it will remove the duplicates. So if you see over here right side, whatever activity you're doing it, it is going ahead into right corner, removing the duplicates, right? It will take some time because it has a very 18K records. Let's wait for it. And that is called our profiling, that we can easily do it. We are just doing on the basis of just clicking on, and we are doing it, right? We are not even checking each and every records as we done over here, right? We have we got something called, special character over here. So we did not have to check entirely each one row till the 18,000. Let's say we have a 1 million record, 10 lakhs records, so that this functionality is very useful. Before doing any data model, before loading, right? Do this check: column distribution and the column quality, right? These are the two checks majorly that we usually use it. If you see the column profile, right? Let me deselect this because it will take some time. Let's check the column profile. It will ask you, right? It will show you that each column, because I'm selected the last name, it will show you what is the count. But it doesn't make sense to me, right? What is the distinct value, unique value? Because a Dheeraj or a this man can have a multiple values, because same name can have a multiple. So this value cannot, useful for me, right? See, so what is useful for me for this column profile? Majorly, we used on the basis of over here. If you see annual income, if you want to see directly, I don't want to calculate or I don't want to do any calculation, you directly select over here, right? And do the column profile and column quality already you selected. You will see that over here directly, that what is the minimum salary. You'll see that, okay, 10,000 is the minimum salary, right? Over here, if you see the value distribution, 10,000 is the minimum salary. Maximum, how it is? 170K is the maximum. And what is the average of that? And what is the standard deviation of that? So this information is useful for the income related or any sales order. What is the sales order that we have? How much counts we have over here? Even you can have that the counts. See, you have accounts. So those value are very useful under this view. You can do the profiling over here, right? So those are the profiling that we do it. So let me cancel. Let me show you few more thing, right? Where we can do the. I want to show you that what we can do on the basis of the group by first column, and there are a lot of things. But I want to show you how we can merge the column. If you see over here, right? I have added one column, new column, right? Merging full name, right? So how we can do that? If you see that doing the merging or if you see what are the merging column, there is a text column inside the text, right? You will see the merge, but it is disabled. Why? Because I did not select any of the column. Let's say I want to do select the I want to select on the basis of let's do one thing. Let's cancel this profiling. Let's cancel this. Let's go to the transform again and go to the text column and select the merging, right? I want to merge these three columns. shift, press the shift and select the prefix first name and last name. You'll see that this is a merge column, right? Click on the merge, right? It will ask you separator. Okay, I'll gonna have that. What is the separator? Okay, comma or space, or what is the separator you wanna do it? Let's say I'll gonna take it as a space. You'll see there is one more column has been added. See, merge directly into your this thing, right? If you see over here, directly it got merged over here. Let me deselect this. Directly. See, if you see, I have got the merge column over here, right? So that you can achieve by doing from here, right? And you can create one more column by doing this duplicate column. You can make it as a duplicate column, and you can do a new column over here where you can directly call it as merge. Oops, right? So, and if you want to close that, right? I don't want to have that. So it will ask the delete the steps. Let's say if I delete that step, so it will ask me because I have already have that rename, because I already merged and I wanted to close that. So it will not gonna do that. To do this, it will throw you an error because I have already done the duplicates and merged that, and I have on the basis of merge I've created the new duplicate columns. So that is the best way. It is the best way to have this. It is the best way to have this is always delete, always merge it in the existing data, get a new value. So that is the best way to do it, right? See how to select for a, you can directly select on the basis of, as I said, right? You can select, do the shift. Oops, sorry. When do the select, it reordered it somehow. Let me reconsider it. Okay. See, click on this prefix and over whatever the order you want to do it, select the first and then select, press the shift directly and press it and click and do the merge, right? You can see that whatever, see there are extract, even though you can do the replace values, as I said, you can do the mergings also. So it's better to have this always in, keep in mind that you always click on the whatever the order you want to do. If you select the order here and if you select this, it will take it as a last name as a first, then first name and then Mr. If you, let's say, let's do one thing. See, let's select over here and do it in a backward side and merge it assumption. Let's merge it. If you see, it went on taking my the reverse order. So always remember, the same order you want to do it, whatever the select that you are selecting. Got it? Yeah, here there is one more way to do it. Okay, as I showed you under the transform, there is one more way to do is there is the add column. If you see the add column, right, under the add column, go ahead and check for the merge. Okay, let's say I've selected this, I've selected this. Okay, merge. Okay, and space on the basis of space and create. Okay, so it will be having that my new column. That means it is not gonna impact my the existing column, right? If you see over here, everything is there, but I've created the added the new column and merged those three columns. Where we found this? By transform, go to the next tab, and having that next tab, select that there is another, you know, merge way to do it, right? This is how you can get those a few things visualization, few ETL transform the data that you can do, right? And also there is called the format, right? Let's say assumption, I don't want to have this formatting or any prefix that I want to add it. Let's say let's do one thing, right? Assumption that this data, right? Let's say I want to have this first name, right? I want to have this everything I want to be in the my capital, right? So I'll go to the add column or a transform. Even though you can do it in the transform, even though you can do it in the add column, right? Go to the format and go to the uppercase. If you see uppercase, there is one more activity has been added. And if you see that my this value has been added with the uppercase, right? So those are the activity that we can do. So I'm just deleting those activity because we want to have a we don't want to touch the actual data. So I'm just removing whatever the activity that we have done it, right? So I'll gonna come over in the little more transformation. I'll show you that what is the group by. Okay, in the later on, before I go ahead with the group by, before I have to, as I mentioned, what is the replacing, what is the pivot and unpivoting, right? What is the split column? So those are I'll gonna show you. Let's say I want to show you that. Let's talk about under the transform. Go ahead and check about the splitting the column. Right here also you have a format. As I said, in add column, it will add the format. And here you can, if you want to see that, okay, let's, I want to change this as a existing, then you can see and do the uppercase. This will go to the uppercase, right? And I want to do the, let's say I want to do the, what is the, it will be added in my existing data. It will not gonna create my the new column. And I want to do the, whatever the, whatever the basic value that I have already have it. I did not want to change it. You can simply change it to the uppercase. It will go to the maximum, whatever you have, whatever you loaded over here, right? And even though there is one more, right? If you see capitalize each word, what is that? That means let's cancel this, right? That means this one has this format capitalized. That means it has the first row, first word, it will be a capitalize, and second word would be my small letter. So this is how a very common naming convention that we do it in the data profiling, right? Over here, my first name would be, I mean, The first name always we put it as A as a caps, D as caps, N as caps. Same way we do it as a K as caps, G as caps, and J as caps. Oops, sorry. Right? So it looks a very good data. That means anybody can easily have that, yeah, data is in my structured way. So this is where the we usually do it by doing over here, right? Having that capitalize each word. That is the wording naming convention of this, right? Let's have a one more split the column, right? So let's have that. What do you understand by splitting the column, right? Here, if you see, let's say I want to add a column and I want to split the column, right? What I can do it. Let's say I've selected on email address. I want to see what is the domain. Let's say I have a, you know, let's say I'm using the Gmail, right? I have an email ID. Let's say, let's add one more, right? I'm currently using, let's say Amit is using Amit dot Kumar at the rate Gmail, right? Then Dheeraj at the rate Gmail, and same way, right? And I want to know what is the domain, right? What is the domain name? So let's say Amit Kumar is not a domain name, right? The domain, if you see the Gmail, Gmail is the domain. I want to see what is the domain. I want to drag that data. So I cannot add one by one, right? Right? So this is a Gmail. This is a domain that I am using it. How we can do it, right? We can do it on the basis of extract, right? Go to the add column, extract it, and do okay text before the delimiter. Okay, let's say we'll say that what is the delimiter we want to add. Delimiter, that means these are the delimiter. What is the delimiter? At the rate is the delimiter, hyphen is the delimiter, and dot is the delimiter, right? Let's use this after delimiter. Go to the add column, extract, drop down, and go to the add delimiter after. Okay, let's put it as at the rate. Okay, you see that. Yeah, probably you got it right. What data, if you look at the data, what data we found? Whatever we have it under email address, after at the rate, we got the domain, right? So that means, okay, we got this delimited. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's do one thing, extract again, right? Over here, there is one more, here there is a setting, right? Let's have a one more setting. Let's put it as a one more extract and have this as a delimited, right? What is the before? What is the before you want to do it? Go to the add column, go to the extract, and before let's put it as a hyphen or a dash. Yeah, I got the value whichever I wanted, right? I wanted the Gmail as a value, correct? I wanted to know the domain. So you can put it as and give your name directly over here, double click it, and you can name it as a domain name, right? So these are the activity that we, whatever the activity we're gonna perform, we're gonna get it. So this is where you just have to analyze how we can get it, right? So we got it from the, you know, from the email address, right? From the email address, we found that, okay, we can get it by, okay, I have a two delimited, right? This is the, I am reading the data. Basically, this is the where we want to understand how we can read the data, right? So we are reading the data. Okay, I have a at the rate. So we can, whatever the value after I want it. Okay, so I'll add, go to the add column, go to the extract, and after text after the delimiter, whatever the delimiter we're gonna perform, it will store it as it is. And before the hyphen, that means before, after the at the rate and before the hyphen, whatever the value it is there, it is the domain name. So that is what we perform over here, right? I hope it's clear. So these are the few things that we, how we can do the transform, how we can do the you know uh, change the split value, split columns, how we can format it, how we can get the extract the full name, how we can add the full name, how we can do the columns distribution, how can we can do the column quality, how we can distribute the quality, how we can check the sums, counts, and the maximum and minimum and the standard deviation. Those are the activities that we have done it. Whatever activity you're gonna do it, you will find over here. Let's say you wanna clear that, you want to have a actual, what is the actual value you have it, you can simply close it. That's it. You will be having that in your main. That means, okay, this is the file that I have loaded, right? So these are, even though I applied, if you see, only source, prompted headers, and change start. These are the only three things we're gonna find it in whenever you load it. Only three things. These are, I have already applied few of the ETL works, right? I have applied the remove errors. I have applied the filtered the rows. I have applied the capitalize each word. That means this one, as I mentioned, right? First name, under that it should be first word, it should be a capitalize, right? And same way, Mr. Last name is also has to be a first word, has to be a capitalized. Same way for the prefix. So I have applied few of the activity that is under the transform. All right. So as we discuss over here, column distribution, right? These are the column distribution where you can find out distinct and what is the unique, right? Always remember, column distribution only useful for the record counts of, only useful for the salary, right? What is the maximum salary? What is the medium salary for each employee, right? For what is the maximum minimum for the salary? What is the count of the employee, right? For that, it is very useful. If you ask me, what is the employee name, if I find, if I click on the column distribution and if I click on this column, then it is not going to useful for me, right? Because Amit has, it may have a one more Amit, right, with same company, right? So it is not useful. It is a very very valid scenario. So you cannot remove that data, right? So that is not valid under this. Only valid to have that in salary counts, minimum and maximum to find out, right? So again, as I said, column profile, same way you're gonna find out the counts, distincts, unique, minimum and maximum, right? Same way, as I mentioned, under the text tool over here, you're gonna see the split column, right? On which column you wanna do the splitting, by the delimiter, by the number of parameter. As I said, delimiter, that means here. These are the delimiters, at the rate, hyphen. By checking the data, where we can find out, okay, here I can see that at the rate can be a useful as a delimiter. So those delimiter, we can split the data. As I mentioned, I have splitted the data on the basis of domain name. If you see, I split it, I've removed it. We can split it on the basis of the domain name, right? Go to the extract and do the before and text before the delimiter, text after the delimiter. Even though you can check over here and do the split of this data, right? By the delimiter. Whatever the delimiter you want to perform, you can perform on the basis of the at the rate and the C. Which double quotes you want to perform, whether you want to see custom. Select the enter delimiter, that is the at the rate. Split at the leftmost corner or right or each occurrence of the delimiter. If you say that delimiter, okay, let's have this. See, you have added two rows or two columns with the delimited, right? So those and complete data has got the splitted with the two columns. So those are the things where you can change it. And here we did not touch with the existing record. What we did, we have gone to the formatting and then we have taken out the new column, adding in the new column, and we did the actual splitting, right? By checking the data. By checking the data. Okay, this is a one delimiter and this is another delimiter. We can split on the basis of, okay, I want to see the domain name, that is adventure. Yes, I want to know this delimiter after and before. We can find out this domain name and we can add that into our Adam column. That is the extract that you can pass under the add column, and you can pass the text after delimiter and text before delimiter that we discuss, right? Here also you can provide the length. Here also you can provide in the text tool. You can provide, as I said, right? What are the values you want to perform? You can perform lowercase, uppercase, capitalize the each word. See, we did this exercise, right? We just now did this exercise. If we want to know what is the domain name we want to see, right? See, I want to know the adventure works. What is the domain name? If you see, they have also got the same way. Domain name adventure works. That is, the adventure is the one, that is the domain name that we want to have it, right? And same way, numerical tools, right? What it says that, right? Under the transform and under we're gonna find out the numerical values, right? Here. What is that? What is that? What do you understand? Let's say I want to see what do you understand by the numerical values? That means it has the statistics, right? So I cannot have that statistics by here. Why it is not having that? See, why it is not having sum, minimum, maximum, medium, average? Why? Anybody want to answer this? Anybody? You can type it in chat. Why it is not getting me sum? I'm clicking on the column, but it is not having me sum. Why? Yep, correct, Nitin. It is the string. Yes, yes. It is the string that we are using it, right? So if you click on annual income, right, and see the statistics, yes, you can find the sum. Let's do one thing. Let's have a sum. Okay. See, this is a sum, but I don't think this value is useful. No, right? I don't think that what I can be doing with this value. It is not useful for me. And his annual income, if I do sum, what is the use of that? Right? I don't want this. What I'll do, go to the annual again. Go to the maximum. It is a useful value for me. So you just have to understand with the column what activity I need to perform. You cannot directly go and do whatever available in statistics and you can apply, right? It is a useful value for me. What is the maximum value? Who is having the maximum income, annual income, right? Which customer is having that as maximum income? So it will give me a value. It may take some time, guys, because this is searching whole 18K records. Yeah, we got it. See, it is 170K is the maximum value, right? So you can perform any kind of, you know, this kind of statistics that you can majorly use. Yes, customer key I can use for counting the values, right? I can use this as a counting how much value, how much counts for this file we have, because it's a primary key, right? So what is the value that we want to have? Yes, as I said, it is a useful value. Okay, so these are the activity. You just have to understand what activity is useful for me and I can do the proper data profiling. This comes under the proper ETL works and the transforming the works, right? One more thing I want to, guys, I want to explain you that parameters. Anybody know about the parameters? Any answer would be, anyone want to try it? What do you understand by the parameters? Any answer would, any wrong answer would also be fine.
Yes, so based on parameters, we can connect to database like as a connection string. So usually for real-time scenario, uh, whether we are working on the local database, so we are passing a parameter as a local, but when we want to connect the live database, so we will passing that connection string.
Correct, correct, correct. So here is the example. Why I have already explained you guys why I have this handy. That's the reason I wanted to show you the parameters. What parameters is look like, right? There is a difference between the parameters and the variables. Let's say this is the entry. As I said, whenever you connect to the database, you need to pass this. But it is a hard coded value, right? Assumption that uh, you are working in production. See, whenever you work under the company, there will be a, three environment you're gonna work upon, right? Dev environment, QA environment, and the prod environment. That means dev is used for your complete developing that we are currently doing. Whatever we are doing, we are developing some data model, right? So we are doing the development. So whatever the code and everything that we're gonna do it, we'll do it under the development. Correct. You're right. Nearly, you're right. Parameters are always constant. Yes, I'll about to come on that. But I want to explain you where we're gonna use it, right? QA in under development, after the development, it will go to the next environment. These are the environment I'm talking about, right? QA, that means whatever you're gonna develop, you're gonna test it. Here you're not gonna do any development. You're gonna test it, and testers, that means the QA testers, you're gonna raise a bug if in is any issue. If they find any issue, they're gonna raise a bug and ask the developer to, hey, you have this bug, please resolve it in development again and come back again in the QA. Once we have this sign off from business or from your QA team, then we can move ahead with the actual production. That means it will be a live. It will be a live that you're gonna have a live database, right? It may have a test data because we are doing the development, Here it will have a testing, whatever you develop, and here it will be having the actual data that you're gonna, whatever you develop, it will gonna live over here. Let's come back to the why I wanna give it. This is the three environment. Whenever you're gonna work in any organization, these are the processes that's basically uses, right? Then what is the use of parameter? Why I'm explaining this, right? Here under development, let's say I've connecting to database, right? For a dev, there might be host name might be different, right? Host name might be different over here for a development. Same thing for QA, host name, because it is having a one entry, it is for a development. Obviously, it will, there is another entry for a QA because we are creating the another database, and for production, definitely it is going to have a different server name, right? So we cannot change the hard coded value in production every time because we are providing the hard coded values. These are the hard coded values. Here the catch that we comes with the parameters, right? That is where we create the parameters to have a value to be stored into my host name. I'll create one parameter called host name, right? I'll put it as a host name and value to be provide as a 0 0 0.1 for a dev, right? And I'll call it as a global value. That is called the global value. You'll call it as a global value. That means it will be as a dollar, right? And you can pass this global value as a host name into your here. Whatever the server name you're gonna pass, you'll directly pass this host name. And if you see that where host name has been there, it is under the list dot environmental files. This host name will be stored under my list.environmental file. And from there, I can call this environment or a variable. That means it can directly. So for a production, I don't want to again and again change my database entry, right? Because once it is set, we are all good for a production or a test. What I just have to do, I just have to change the list environmental value for for the QA. I'm gonna add QA over here. Oh, sorry, this is a 2, right? 3, right? These are the entry which are available in my list.environment. So what I'm gonna do, I'll only pass this parameter into my actual, as I mentioned over here, right? While connecting the database, I'll pass this parameter under this list.environment. I'm good. For a QA, I'm gonna pass QA if I want to connect. If I want to pass the production, I'm gonna do the only prod. Whatever the exact value, whatever the exact, you cannot put it as a here prod. Oh, sorry. You cannot be using that caps value because it will not gonna match. Okay, it will throw you an error. This parameter is not there inside my list.environment file. So whatever it is there mentioned, you just have to pass the same value. But why we need this? Because we don't want to show, because it's a security concerns. Nobody can see that my actual what is the host name, because hackers can easily check that okay, this is a host name, and they can use the the security concern. They can use the have that okay, this is a server that we got it. We can easily get into a this database and can easily access any of the transactional data. That is where normally any of the any e-commerce or any of the database usually uses the parameter, right? As I talked about everything about parameter. So anybody want to say about what is variable then? Anybody? I mean, it is fine. I just want to have a little interactive, so you guys can have a little think what would be the variable. Anything would be wrong is also fine. What would be the variable assumption? Someone said that it is a parameters is a constant value, but what is about variable? Any hint can I give, or do you want to try what is variable? Yep, it's like correct. It is able to change, right? It is
So,
gonna change. That means assumption that let's take it. Let's take an example. Okay. Mm, let's take one example over here. There is let's add one location is there. Right. Let's take it as a one more entry called same entry. Let's take this same entry. Okay. And I move from location Mumbai to now let's say Chennai. All right. So this location, right? I want to see that it is getting changed. My values are getting changed, right? This location values are getting changed. So I don't want that value to be over and over, that I want to have that changing value, or I want to have this salary, right? Let's say tomorrow there is one more employee came in 5555. Let's say there is one more employee came. Let's say I'm gonna put it very value. And here there is value which came in, that is 80,000, right? And I want to see, I've already added one sum, right? I've already added some sum on the basis of giving me error. Why? Yep, I've added this sum complete value. So that means 3. And let's say there is one more entry every day it is going inserted. That means this value will be changing, right? So that's why we have to have this variable concept, right? So what it will have, my salary, let's say I have created one variable called var underscore salary, and it will be, let's say I have right now I have a 5 rows, or a let's say currently I have a 6 rows, and let's say tomorrow there are almost 10 people have joined again, right? And they have a salary of 80,000, and again so on. Let's say I'll put it 90, and I have a 1 lakh, something like this, right? So it will be my sum will be getting changes, right? So I don't want to reload again my entire value again and again. So it will directly, what it will gonna do, it will check, okay, sum on my salary. This function I'll gonna use it and I'll store it under my var underscore salary. That means, and I can directly call that variable in my select query. That means it will be look like select var underscore salary from table. Let's say it's an employee table, right? So it will directly, without doing anything, without doing whatever is gonna change in from the back end, it will give me the latest value, because it is continuously it is getting changed. So that is where we use this user, that is the majorly that we use this for the, for a parameters and the variables. Fair enough. So here you can use it as I showing it, right? If you see manage the parameter, you can use the parameter, right? You can use the manage parameter. Let's say I want to create or manage the parameter. Let's say let's create one new parameter. Go under the home, go under the manage parameters and click on the new parameter. It will open the one window. What you want to do it? Parameter one. Let's say I'll put it as a server name. I want to, as I said, what I want to do, host name, server name. I want to give it as a parameter. You can put any, right, any time or whatever, because any value, decimal value, date time, you can put it as any value, right? It can be, it is as a list, anything that you can put. If you want to give it the production value, that you can provide over here, right? You can provide it's c 127, or you can directly provide the host name dev, right? Here you can plus it, host name qa, enter host name prod. So those are the three entries that you have done it. List of the values. And what is the current value? Default value you can put it. What is the value for this? You can put it as a home. And what is the value you want to put it? As I said, 127. That is the host name. Sorry. 127.0.0.1. This is the current value. So those are the values you can directly set. Okay, and default value it will be taken as a default value. And if you want to say that, okay, I don't want to list this, you can put it as any value. I can put the value as a current value, and you can click on okay. So your this one will be created parameters. See, and it will be created under your here. Same way here, if you see, there are the table conventions, and here you can see there is one more row or a one more table convention that it says that, yeah, this is my value, right? Server name. Got it? I'm gonna remove it. So can we say that the parameters are used as an input to function that are specific the scope of that function, while variables are used to store the data that can be accessed and modified throughout the program executing, and are not limited to the specific function? Is no, not really. I mean, see, it is not really to say that. See, whatever we want to, as I said, whatever the constant value, basically basic way to understand, constant value we want to hard code it, you can store it under the parameter, and that parameter can be called as I mentioned over here. And let's say I don't want to do a lot of calculations, I don't want to do create unnecessary calculation, and those are values, those are getting changed, right? For that you can use this variable, as I said, right? I don't want to do a lot of calculation, I can do over here also, right? So you can directly store those calculations and store in under the variable. It is not necessary always to show the data, right? It is the data related also, but it is optimizing technique also, right? We can optimize on the basis of, because we are not directly doing any calculation over here. We are, what we are doing it, we are doing on the basis of the variable. We are using that variable as a function value, and then we are calling into our, to get that function into our table. So it's not necessary, you're right, but it is going to be a, it is going to be a data specifically changing that we're gonna, we will gonna fetch it from the, for a required result. Yep. Okay. So that we talked about, even though this numerical tools, let's move ahead. See, as I mentioned, average, where we can found it, these are the one, uh, assignment. What is the product cost? What is the average value? Where we can find this out? Anybody can wanna answer this? This is the assignment. I wanna ask you guys. If you want to know what is the average, right? What is the annual maximum annual income, right? Where we gonna find it? Anyone wanna answer?
So there's a two-way. One is in
In
numerical
statistics,
and column
Yes.
profiling. We can like get those ideas.
Yep. Under the statistics also, and there is the profiling that we wanna do it in under the statistics, and the here is the tools where we directly find out column profile, column quantity, and distribution, as I mentioned, right? And under the transform, there is called number column here, right? Here, if you see, there is statistics where you can find out under the number column where you can find out those stuff, right? I'm just recapping everything for you guys, whatever we discuss. Let's go to the date and time, right? What is the best way to understand what is the date, what is the quarter date, right? So there is a called calendar date. If you look at over here, under the file, I have already, I believe I did not reload that calendar. Okay, see over here, you can see that in transform, right? Date and time and column, right? Where you can find out under this, whatever the data that you have. Let's load one table, right? Let's take new source from CSV. Calendar lookup. See, these are the dates. If you see, okay. Let's add that calendar. Yep, we have that calendar. If you see, we have the data, right? We have a complete data. See, we have almost, if you drag down, there are a lot of data. Let's say if you want to see how much data, anybody wanna say how we can find out?
Even in a go to view and column, we can get a total number,
Yep,
or other ways distinct count.
here we can get it from the statistics. Count is 912. right? Go to, as I said, home. Best way to do it, go to the transform, go to the statistics, and do whatever, it's the best way to do. Otherwise, you can do it over here also. As Nikhil is mentioning that you can directly use the column quality or a column distribution where you can find out the columns distribution way where you can see these are the 912 listings and 912 unique values. Here before loading, always remember, here if you see, check this is the data type whether we have a right data type. Here you can see it is a data type we are having the date, right? This is the date data type that we have, correct? So those are the always think that we have a proper data, whether we have a right data or not. See, indexing, what do you understand by the indexing? Anybody wanna say that? I wanna, it's very simple.
It's a considered as a position.
Yes, correct. It is considered as a position where you can see if you calculate the index, it will be considered as a from where you want to start. It is calculate as a value. That means let's say I have how much value I have assumption. Let's say I don't know whether uh, which from where it is gonna start. So always where we use this very strong index column, that means it is to identify the uniqueness. Let's say uniqueness, that means is a primary key. If I want to create a primary key in my current table, for that we use this index column, right? So from where we want to start, you want to start from the one. So it will create as a add column, go to the add column, go to the index and have this index. So you see here, if you see indexes has been added, you can say that it is the key. You can double click on this and say that date key, right? So here, whatever value that we are doing it, we are just changing out. Let's say we want to see that one more, let's say we want to transform it. Okay. Click on date. Okay. Once you click on date, let's say you want to do the first, you can directly drag over here because it's good to have a reordering, right? It is good to have a key at the first side and then rest of the things at the right ordering side. So always click over here, double click and drag it, right? It will reorder again and again. So this is where you can do it. Let's say now what we want to do it, we were talking about the date, right? Date. So let's talk about date, what we have. Let's click on date, go to the this under transform, go under the date, right? And click on date. Let's have this, what is the year? You'll see that, right? It will add it what is the year you have. And if you want to remove that, it will have this. And if you want to do that, what we can do it, you can always add a column and always go to here also you can do it, but here our existing data will be overwritten. So always go and do the add column, go under the add column from date and time, go to the date and do the year and go to the year. I'm just showing you both the ways, but we need something that we don't want to create any columns. We need the existing data to be validated properly. Then we use the transform directly the existing. There you can see the year, right? Let's click on again with the date, again with month. What is the month we have? Right? Let's click on again date, go to the date and go to the day. What is the day? It will give you all the day, 1, 2, 3, right? So I don't think it is required because we already can see that in date, right? Let's see, I'm just checking all, showing you each and everything that we can use it, right? What is the age or what is the week that we can start, right? Week of the start, week of the year, week, start of the year, start of the week. So that we can provide that what is the name of the day, right? Let's put as the name of the day, where you can find out. This is a very strong where, many of that usually don't get that, right? We can directly clicking on the date and we are getting those values on 1st January 2020. It was Wednesday. So those values we can store it into our values. We just had only one data, right? We transform this complete three data, four columns, which are useful under this our data model. This is our Power Query. Once you save it, you're gonna have it. One more thing I want to show you guys. There is one more setting. If you want to change something that your existing, you can say, click over here, setting. You can change that existing setting here, right? Extract the day of name, right? Where you can find out which date or which English or any other language you want to put. So you can put it as a default. It is showing as a local. That means the English value. That you can put it as a other also, where you can check that inserted month. You can, existing value also can be edited, right? Here you can find out. Okay, it's a date key, it's a date year, and those stuff. What is the new column that we mention as a month? How it is taking as a month? See, custom formula. How it is taking as a month? Date dot. This is the function, inbuilt function, equals to date dot month dot. If you want to see what function is applying by the Power BI in the backend, this is the backend formula. Date dot month dot, open brackets and put it as a date. You will get the month. And if you want to find out what is the, uh, you know, uh, the year, you just simply put it as a year value, and you can put it over instead of month. You can put it as a year. If you see here, we also have a year, right? See, instead of month, we have a year. So those are the date and indexes that we have it. Let's save this. I'm gonna save this. Control S, apply changes. It will take some time, right? So as we discuss how we can create the calendar table. See, we just now discussed, we only added this date, and we have done this by having this four: day name, start of the week. We did for the anything we can do. I mean, as I mentioned, we can do what is the year, what is the start of the month, what is the month name, that we can do it by having that under the date and time column, right? Again, as I said, right? Date. If you want to change the English name, that you can use using the local, you can change the what is the value you want to say, right? Change the type with the local. Here you can see that is English and United States. This is also we discussed, right? Same way, let's say you want to create your own calendar, right? You can put this as a formula equal to, you can create a new source, go to the get the data, and you can put it as a one value. Let me show you that too. Let add that. What we did, we have done it through the CSV. Let's have that the blank query. Under the blank query, you'll see, you'll find out, right? This is the function. What function we want to apply? This is the function. Always use equals to, like Excel that we do. Always hash, right? Put the hash. See, you're getting that all the values 2020 comma 1 comma 1, right? See 0 1 comma 0 comma 1. This is what we have. See, we got this value, right? So those are the direct. If we don't have it, we can create those values by clicking on the transfer. We are currently doing that value as a here also your new table has been created. See your query one, right? And if you want to create, if you want to have that, convert that into create, you can see over here, right? Here you can find out that this can be converted into my table. If you create and to the table, it will be directly clicking into as a table. It will be directly convert as a table. See, it will be create as a table. You can name it as a rolling table, right? We did not do anything as someone asked me yesterday, right? If you don't have the data, even we can make our data, right? See, here also you can name it rolling, not rolling calendar, right? So those are the basic that we discuss. We discuss a lot of things in the transformation. We discuss about add columns. We discuss about dupes index, right? I want to, I'm gonna go a little more depth into the group by. Anybody want to know what is the group by value? What is the group by understanding? Anybody? I will gonna take that as the last, and we're gonna stop it over here because it has. I'll gonna move ahead with the next session. I'll gonna move ahead with the transform with the different data, how we can transpose the data, reverse the row, and how we can do the pivot and unpivot that we can do. Right. Before that, I wanna jump onto the group by. Right. Let me save this. It will take some time, guys. Apply the changes. Anybody wanna say that? What do you understand by the group by?
So basically, it will summarize or categorize your data based on one or more columns.
Correct, correct, correct. Yes. Here, right? Sum on the basis of, let's say I have a query. Let's say where it is here. As I said, we have a table called this one, right? We have a table. I'm gonna remove this data. We have a table. I'm gonna remove this also. Right. We have a very similar and very structured data. Right. I want to see that because it's a very little SQL thing. It is a very easy concept. I want to see that. I want to see that what is the, there is one more column called department,
Or by location.
or a location is also fine, but more majorly where we can find on the basis of salary would be find on the basis of the department, right? So let's say I want to see I am Kumar, Amit is in, let's say IT, I'm is also in IT. Let's say there is one more name I wanna change it, right? Finance, and let's say HR. right? I want to see that what is the maximum or a, let's say, yep, maximum salary for each department. How the data would be look like? My data output would be like this, something like this. Employee ID, employee first name only. Let's take it as a first name. Department name and salary. I want to see maximum for each, right? What would be data would look like? Can anyone say that? Can anyone tell me that? How would be data? So data would be look like this, something like this, right? Let me give you that. What is the salary for IT? Dheeraj. Okay, I'll have this data.
So the result will be showing as per the department name. Like there are
Yes,
three departments, so we will get the three rows in a result with IT, finance, and HR
correct,
with the highest number of salaries.
correct, correct. This data looks good for you guys. Anyone? So this is what I need. If you see, this is what I need. From this table, I need this output. I want to say that what is the value that I want to have. My employee ID should be there. Employee first name, last name, and the salary. Salary, that means it's a maximum salary. Max. That shows that, yeah, each department, for this department, he is the guy is having the maximum salary, right? Yeah, for the finance department, this is the guy who's having the highest salary. And for Nitin, so how we can write this query? Anybody wanna say that how we can write this? Let's say we
Yes.
can add select, right? I'm gonna give you a little example that we can, by
Select
doing this,
employee ID and employee name. Oh, sorry,
you can
employee
use the
first name.
yep. First thing you to do the analyticals, you know, the aggregator functions, max.
Okay.
Always use the max, right? Then you can use the employee ID. Then use the first name, department name, from, because these are the three things I need. I'll put it as a S, and I'll name it as a max salary, because if you see my column name looks like a max salary. If I don't change the column name, it will become as like this. My column name would be look like this, right? Simple way. So I don't want to know that. I just want to know, yes, my maximum salary would be my column name. From which table? Employee table. Where what I want to do, what I need to do with the group by, where you can use the analytical functions, that is the whatever I have done it, I've done it on the basis of the aggregated on the basis of the salary. What are the columns that I use? Those are the columns. So do the group on the basis of all these columns that we used under the select and do the semicolon. So this will give you the simple answer. Yes. Okay. It will be doing on the basis of the department name, first name, and the last name, where we can directly do that and get all the values, those we have it over here, right? So this is the major functionality. This is, we can use this query in our Oracle data, any other database, SQL. This is SQL database. Any, you can use any database. Like your Oracle, Teradata, MS SQL, or Netezza. Those are the databases you might have heard about or may not heard about. But Oracle is the one the maximum people might have heard about. But those are a lot of databases that industry uses, right? DB2 and so on. There are a lot of. I don't want to name a maximum thing because you might get confused, but these are the major that you'll gonna, once you start working, you're gonna heard about. These are the major databases, right? So we can find out by doing this simple query and we can get this data. Yeah, those have the same values, correct? So in Power BI, let's come to the Power BI. I just want to have a both the understanding, query understanding, data understanding, and then we move ahead with the Power BI understanding. If you see, let's go to the sales data. Sales data, anybody? Because I cannot see, this is what you want to understand, which, sales column that I can use for aggregator. That, okay, let's go to the product. If we can find any similar data that we can do the group by product name, product category name.
Can we
Let's
use
say
first cost?
let's do one thing. We'll gonna do it on the basis of the model name, right? Where you can say that, okay, new column, group by, what you wanna do? New column, count rows, or what you wanna do? Let's do one thing. Let's sum on the basis of or average or maximum or minimum, right? Let's count or let's do the first. We'll do the count. See, you got the answer. This model name has 3 counts. This model name has 2 counts, and so on. By doing simple, we did what we did over here. We write those queries in SQL backend the same way, right? The same way the automatically your Power BI gets the understanding and writes the query and gives you the output, right? It is a very powerful where you can use the group by and get these This is a very powerful. That's what I want to show you, that the three ways you can do it through the query. You can understand the data and do it from the front end, that is from your Power Query, right? Why? Because when you usually work on the visualize the data, right? When you usually do the visual, I want to visualize the data, I want to create a report and dashboard. This is a majorly you're gonna do group by, right? So this is what I wanna, you know, uh, show you a little more about the things that are basic things and the hands-on, right? As we talked about the index column also, that it creates the sequential row numbers for each entity, right? So we're gonna stop and we'll have a Q&A sessions for today, because we have done a little hands-on, and for each sections and for each value, for each tab we have seen it, hands-on. So I'm gonna give your control to ask me anyway if you guys have written down any questions, and then we can go ahead and have a Q&A for today.
So I have like one question from my side, like I write it down too. But my
Yep.
first question is, like initially we tries to load any data from database or any CSV or any other resources.
Right.
So once we load those data is saved as a model, correct? But like if consider it's our database is transactions data, so it is getting updated each and every time. But we are
Right.
getting only those data which we already do it in the model, not the new
Right.
one.
Right.
So that's the only option, like we have to refresh every time, or
Yes. Yes. We have to refresh every time. Let's say we are connecting, because we are not connecting to any of the databases, right? If you're connecting to the databases, automatically your database will be refreshed. Here your data model automatically will take care. We are using the CSV files. That means whenever the data which is coming from the source, right, those always have to be refreshed every time, because it's a CSV file. It is coming from the, let's say today 5 entries manually I've added, right? Tomorrow 10 entries manually I've added. So those entries are in already stored into the Excel sheet. So I need to refresh each and every time. That is the only way, or we can get that CSV to be refreshed CSV. However, if you look at for the database side, you don't have to deal with the database, because database always refresh with the data. You already connected to the database. Always you just have to, you know, already you created the connections for the database. It always refresh the data while you connect to the database. So you don't have to, worry about while connecting to the DB.
yeah, DB is fine. Like DB is getting updated, but like in Power BI, I guess there's a refresh button. Every time we have to click. After that, it will get refreshed.
Yes, yes,
Okay, and the second question is regarding that calendar. Yes, you write it down as a hash date, and there's a particular date.
right.
And we convert those into the table. But
Yep,
as a calendar, as you show, there is a Adventure Works where it has a list of all the date. So is
correct.
there any function where we can specify the range?
Right. We can use that. This is a range. There is a functionality. Let me share it. Here, if you guys see that, if you want to do the range, here I am just simply adding one. If you see, this is the function that we can use, list date. That means we are using the list date functions, from where source, where this is another function that what we are doing it. We are currently today's 24/9/9 09 2023. It will minus from the where for the 1 years of data. Duration is the 1 years of data till today. That means it will take my 01, it will have my date something like this. This entry would be look like this. The data would be 01, 01, 20, 23, range from to today's date is 24/09 and 2023. If you ask me, okay, what about tomorrow? It will take care of it because we are doing the minus. Because it is taking the source local time. That means whatever the local date time system time, tomorrow is 25. Again, it will calculate the on the basis of tomorrow. It will take the tomorrow's date for tomorrow. This is where each data will be look like something like dot 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 till range this one. So this is a minus query that we can use. Minus function. This is the function that number dot from, as we said, date. This is a list of date that we're gonna use this function. Inside that number dot from which from you wanted, from the local system date till 1 year. That means starting from the year duration that we can achieve. All right.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think, is that you want to ask?
Yeah, that was the one. Because
I think I cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
yeah, am I audible now? Hello?
Uh, Nitin, I cannot hear you, I believe.
Am I audible now?
My voice is clear, I believe, for everyone.
Yeah, am I audible now?
I think we lost Nitin's voice.
You're audible, I think.
Okay, so yeah, even I'm just saying like, yeah, I'm fine. Let me type it down.
Oh, even though I don't think I cannot hear it. You guys can hear my voice?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
It may be some connection issue on your side.
I think okay, good. Anyone, if I'm not sure where I cannot hear anyone's voice, I'm sorry. If you
Is
wanna
I'm audible?
share the question and post it in the chat, it will be great. I cannot hear anyone's voice.
Maybe
Maybe.
Dheeraj.
Yeah, he has a
check.
connection issue, looks like.
MIT team, can you help me out for this? I think my audio is. Hello? Can you say someone? Can you speak someone?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Audible?
Yep, I can hear.
Okay.
Yep, it's audible now. I think there is a network issue probably. Sorry, guys. Yep, go ahead for the another Q&A, guys. Any questions you wanna have it?
I have one like whenever we load a data, then it is impacting our existing data, like the Excel file or the CSV file, right? And whenever we transform it, it is only the Power BI will be impacted.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And another thing is whenever I transform any Excel file or thing, then the next time I open Power BI, I don't get it on the left side like you get it. Like, is there any way to save that file?
Yes, we usually save that, right? Whenever we
Yeah,
let
like
me open
I
it.
tried to save it,
Let
then
me
it is saving as a Microsoft file, but I didn't get it in the Power
correct.
BI.
That file yes, that file we wanna always open that because
Okay.
whatever the data model you're gonna whatever the data model we gonna work upon, that file we need to save always. Remember, whatever we loaded from the CSV, always save that file. Like something that we always save the Excel sheet, right? The same
Yeah.
way we wanna save the exact whatever we're gonna load the files, we wanna save that for a data modeling, because that data model is the one that stores our data, that stores our transforming the data, that stores our complete the extract that we have done it. So again, we don't want to do it again and again, so it will lost it. It will come again as a united, and it will come as a new you'll gonna lose that data basically. So always remember that, save that, and open that existing, the Power BI, section, that file.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone, any other questions, guys? Anyone gonna ask, or all good, or everyone
So that's
understood at least? In next section, what we're gonna cover majorly, I mean, I'll gonna covered with the data model. I'll gonna touch base now with the data model, because this is where we have, I mean, basic understanding. I mean, if we don't know the data model, even though we know this small thing, even though where we can do the indexing, those stuff, it is of no use, because if we do this in Excel also, we can do those stuff, right? If we know the data model and we do that above the data model, what is the visualization we can do it, then it's very good to have that very understanding way that our data model is very good to show to the higher management. Yes, this is where we want to look, right? So those the major that we're going to cover in the next section. To download the Power BI, do we have to register with the corporate? No. Don't use the corporate email. You can use your personal email also fine, I believe, Vivek.
any other question, guys? I believe that's the wrap.
Or else you guys have any questions, you can write it down in let's say now you don't have it. Whenever you do it in the hands-on, and then you comes up with the questions, right? So then you just write down those questions, and then we can look those questions in the next session, right? Over to you guys. Over to team.
Yeah, so we'll be continuing the same session from next weekend, same time, Saturday, Sunday. Right. Thank you guys for joining.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's current.